Hello and welcome back to another new edition of Windows and Current Affairs. And today we talk about a very important event that all Egyptians are commemorating. Striving to change has been the hallmark of President Sisi's presidency ever since he stepped into office 2 years ago. And it has been 2 years since Egyptians have elected President Sisi, or Field Marshal back then, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, with majority. And today we commemorate this very important event. President Sisi, marking this very important day, he was asked for his first televised interview where he talked about 2 years of his presidency. He talked about the challenges, he talked about the achievements, he talked about the several plans ahead in the coming decade or in the coming years, because all the projects, the effect of all those projects could be seen maybe in years and not really on the spot. And he talked about that on a wide range of fields, not only politically, economically, socially, on many fronts. Today we continue to be setting or shedding some light on that televised interview, and we explain how through that years those 2 years Egypt have succeeded in pulling itself together and setting its feet on the political map or the political arena, in a political front, and also on an economic front. We're very delighted to have with us Dr. Gamal Kalyoubi, the economic analyst, and Dr. Ibrahim Ghazawy, the political analyst. Good evening, gentlemen, and happy Ramadan to you.
You too.
Let me first start off with you, Dr. Ghazawy. As we all know that President Sisi said, we'll start off with the highlights of that televised interview. He said on one of the questions that the state is currently managing 8 national projects which are being executed by more than 10,000 companies and nearly 2 million Egyptian workers. If you'd like to elaborate on that to the viewers.
Well, let me start with due congratulations to Egyptians and to all Arab and Muslim nations in the whole world on Ramadan holidays, and wish all of them very prosperous days and stable communities as well. And talking about the President Sisi's speech on the mega project issue is really a source of pride for us. Indeed, it opened a very wide window for the youth, for the generations to think about the future in a much better way. And if we talk about 10,000 companies or working on the ground on different fields, if you talk about over 2 million workers working, you talk about a very effective and open window for healing and tackling in a very effective way unemployment. You talk about a very efficient way in tackling stagnant economic crises that have been chronically existing for years and years, and even was getting worse. You talk about opening window for hope for not only for the youth generations but also for all Egyptians. After 2 consecutive revolutions, Egypt was suffering and still suffering from a lot of repercussions, not only from these 2 revolutions, but also from many decades before the first revolution on 21st January. And probably it was a time for the man who will be occupying the chair of presidency to face all of these challenges all together. And so it's really a very tough challenge. So far, after 2 years of continuous work and struggling with the resilient problems here and there, we can easily say that this avalanche of mega projects is really very positive sign of Egypt standing on its feet, considering not only what is going on inside Egypt, but also what is happening territorially and internationally. Not only talking about the economy. Economically, a lot of problems in the region and the whole world, and Dr. Gamal will elaborate more on that. But I'm talking also about security, about stability, about challenges of terrorism, challenges of stability in the whole region, the absence and the collapse of several countries all of a sudden over 1 or 2 years. Talk about great nations and civilizations that have been existing for thousands of years, but today they are not existing. You talk about Iraq. Where is Iraq today? And Syria. Where is Syria? Where is Yemen? Where is Libya? So amid this chaos, Egypt standing there, getting stronger day after day on its feet. Yes, there are a lot of problems still, and a lot of challenges have to be tackled, and a lot of aspirations for the Egyptian people still to be fulfilled in the time to come. But we are in the right track, and definitely in the right track. One of the impact of this mega projects probably will feel it 2 or 3 years from today, because this project by nature is very huge. And it takes time. It takes continuous investment. And once the time comes and start to yield back the positive feedback, people will start to feel that. But the other question that we have to ask, was it an option or compulsory, an obligation? A lot of these projects were targeting the infrastructure in Egypt. And we have to admit that for long years, the infrastructure was not paid any due attention, and it became in a very weak status. So tackling infrastructure challenges was the take-off point for any positive, serious change in our economy life, not only in our economy life or economic life, but we talk about any other aspect of our daily life situations. Talk about education, you talk about health, you talk about culture or society, everything. So you talk about a massive development that takes place in parallel lines, which is really so good.
Right, Dr. Kalyoubi, when we talk about the national projects, for example, the first thing that would come to our minds is, of course, the Suez Canal, the new Suez Canal project. Of course, this is one of the milestone achievements that Egyptians have proudly been able to achieve after 2 successful revolutions. President Sisi touched on the new Suez Canal project when he was given a question, and he said that could have been executed in 5 years. Only Egyptians chose to do that in only 1 year. He said there is another reason behind executing it in 1 year. Of course, doubling the outcome. Of course, speeding up with the results.
The working hours, number of contractors.
Of course, but also he mentioned a very important side, which is uplifting the morale of Egyptians, because that was executed, or that was being established at a time when people were skeptical about if we are going to make it or no, after all what Egypt have been through and the Egyptians have been through. So how do you read that?
Let me just hang in one really important. No, our Egyptian equation is really complexity. And specifically, if I'm talking about some economics, and we'll try to evaluate what's going in Egypt currently and versus what we had previously in the 4 or 5 years, is completely different. Ever never, if Egypt continues, since before even January Revolution, we are going to come up with a very weak economy, and also a lot of complaints and not satisfied of all living, all the population in Egypt. So unless we have something had been a change. And as we are a population, we are very lucky, because you consider you are coming to the neck of the bottles very fast, and we may suffer that we may have not enough for food varieties. We don't have a good agricultural patches. We don't have a country have independency to create the food by their hands. And you cannot imagine a country is still imports up to 68% of the food from abroad, and we spend a lot of currency from the central bank, and you got for very big complexity equation. Like I said, we have a big portfolio from the population themselves. They're looking for tax employments, looking for improve their living, get some good services from their infrastructure or from the governments. Also, it's a lot of demands in the same spot. Moreover, that Egypt had been frozen for a long time for the diplomatic channels. So Egypt had been capitalized since 2008 till now, frozen without any influence abroad with no good communication in politics. So add to that one, your economy is coming down because there is no improvement. There is no another opportunities, improve the population patches, attack the randomly social housing. You don't have something to give an improvement for the new generation. For that reason I said it's a really tough economic question to the Egyptian. What's going with the future for Egyptian? What's going for our new generation? How are we thinking about our problems, our diseases, a lot of things? And the way that the politics leading in Egypt doing is completely different, because I think when somebody would like to go for elections to be a president or to care about the president, at least you have a wide plan. And you know very much that we have a lot since long-term time for many governments. We are listening well for the fifth plan and how it's going with each item after 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years, 5 years, and we spend the whole government without promising or just achieve one itemize. Now the politics leading in our stage is completely different in the way that tackling the problem in Egypt, and you cannot see that how this is equation had been split in parallel in the same time between 5 very seriously problems and solution to Egypt in a short time in 2 years. First, how to improve the diplomatic channels in a proper way, and this had been achieved within 44 visits to different culture, different countries in the world, which oriented that the face of Egypt the politics is completely different, because we are not salon orientation for certain country. Now we have varieties and we open to over the world, and we have a good relation with a diplomatic way, in economy ways, in even a friendship with a lot of different countries. This has not happened before. Second, if you go to the security portfolio, which is really tough and really a problem, big problem to Egypt, if not secure well, specifically the eastern gates, which is coming with a big problem and skipped a lot of tourism in that area, and it's coming to our spot. This is really important. Moreover, to spread it, the security portfolio to the all open portfolio surroundings and boundaries in Egypt, and this is not to be achieved, because this is very conjuncted to any economics, any investment, because the International Finance Institute will advise some of investors or some people's coming or countries would like to invest in Egypt, would like to ask in the first question, how is the security level in this country? The third option, how to transfer all this unemployment and attention of the population for the mega project, because the mega project is short, long term in the same time, because you orient, improve the sources of income to the country in something improve rather than the old sources, because the old sources for us is coming old and it shrink from time to time the incomes. So what you are going to do, you need to create another resources to improve the income.
Speaking about resources, I wanted to attach the question that I asked you to with another question, which is some people, in what way do you think President Sisi reacted, confronting the charges of some people, charging that the new Suez Canal project was a waste of time, a waste of money, and a waste of resources, and would have little economic feasibilities? How do you assess the way President Sisi reacted to that, practically answering that?
I tell you, for my opinion, but it's not my opinion as an economic analyst. I just tell you what's going across and around, what is different in compared to the old Suez Canal and the new Suez Canal. It's completely different. Because if I try to explain to the people, even the president in the last speech through the TV with one of announcer, he already said to the all youth, it's one of the hope to all Egyptian to build one mega project, allow and prove to the whole world that whenever we have decide to do some things different, we do it. And this is what I'm saying. Like I said, if you go to spread it, one of the short movie, I think had been displayed in just close time, explain the opinion of the engineering and the designer for this such a channel, and the way how to execute in terms of a huge number of workers with a huge number of equipments and a lot of heavy equipments in marine and everything like this to be in a very good schedule and time without no accident or without some problems may stop due to misarrangement. And this is for any mega project like this. If you try to evaluate in risk assessment, at least you accept a project to be like this with this huge 35 kilometers of additional channel. You cannot imagine in terms of time, commitment, weather, equipment, commitment of contractors, supervision, way to execute in a proper way. Everything that is, if not controlled well, you're in a big fiasco. In the situation we have is tremendously improvement in compared to the others. If you try to improve 3 years of schedule, time, workers, contractor, cost, commitment from equipment, from abroad, and everything had been scheduled in 1 year, this is a clear vision that it's a hope to the whole world of Egyptian spread in the world that whenever the Egyptian brainstorm mind plan ahead something on map, it can execute very well. That's first. The second, we cannot leave Suez Canal to be the old-fashioned. Tell me now, since we have received Suez Canal from our old generation till now, what we did? If nothing. We are just to keep pass all what we have in achievement without nothing. When we're thinking that we have a project to add a value in terms of shorted time, quick improvement for the heavy shipment, because you know the technology in the world now not coming from the standard shipment. The standard ship can load up to 125,000 tons. Now with a heavy load ship, it can reach to up to 500,000 or 250,000 of tons, and this is cannot fit the purposes what we have in Suez Canal in terms of the water depths and the draft for all these shipments. So we need to do some things different, and this is what we did as an additional value to us, allow to the heavy ship to pass through the channel. Third thing, which is also really important, you know very well that we have a lot of a challenge across us. We have something to a railway station will be conjunction from Ashdod in Mediterranean Sea to Eilat port, and this railway will be through another competition to the time of the Suez Canal. And the railway will still in building now in the other side will be another competition to get a share of what we have in Suez Canal. So we need to improve the time to pass all these shipment, accommodate the heavy shipment. All this is add a value to Suez Canal. Moreover, also that Al-Harir commercial way, which it's Al-Harir route, the very traditional. This is what we have a plan for the future, that also China consider that the pass across the port and the Suez Canal, one portion to pass across the Al-Harir route. So all these factors, it lead us to improve and develop something between two tracks to the Suez Canal, and improve also the incomes. Maybe we are not succeed to achieve what we have been planned for income, but this is normal because we have overall international economics is shrinking down, and you cannot set the fate of a China, for example, consider 11% gross factor, and it's coming to less than 5.6% factor. That's mean there is a trend.
Right. Let me move to Dr. Ghazawy and talk about something that is also one of the center points for pride for all Egyptians, and I'm sure we all share in that, which is the Military Engineering Authority. We have seen the Military Engineering Authority sharing, apart from the armed forces, of course, as a sector in its own right, sharing in many, many mega projects, the housing projects, the 1.5 million Fadan, the new Suez Canal like Dr. Kalyoubi, and many other, energy projects, and everything that you could imagine. Anything that could be executed in 5 years, it would take like 1 year with the military engineering project. When asked about that, President Sisi also revealed another surprise. He said that one of the main reasons is that not only that they are working efficiently and professionally, but also the pure existence of the military engineering project is to monitor the performance and also make sure that the expenditure is spent widely. So if you can explain that, what did President Sisi mean with that phrase?
Well, it was a message actually of confidence that although we have a lot of problems hitting the administrative apparatus in Egypt, we have a lot of suffering in different institutions, civil sector, and all aspects of our civil sector, government. We have this engineering authority on top of events and on top of challenges and on top of its ability to actually handle these mega projects in a very record time. We have to appreciate that. We have from several points. The first point is that this engineering authority is a core part of our army. So the message is the Egyptian army is in full alertness and in full readiness to do its commitment. This is one issue. The other issue is it sends a continuous message to the Egyptian community that the Egyptian armed forces is there to be up to any challenge and to send